What's up, witches? Welcome to season 2 of the BetterWitch podcast, presented by the Modern Witch Network. I'm your host, Allie, aka BronxWitch. I'm a tarot reader, Reiki master, and owner of BronxWitch HeadQuarters, a spiritual shop and workshare space in the Bronx, New York. And I'm going to be coming to you every week with a new topic and a guest co host to talk about our experiences as real life witches. Because when we know better, we witch better. Today's episode is a 2-for-1 special. Joining us today are the owners of Witch Thrift, Eva Ray and Virginia Samini. Witch Thrift is a unique and witchy vintage secondhand shop now located in New Haven, Connecticut that focuses on community-centered inclusivity. Witch Thrift started out in Virginia's living room and is now a storefront carrying gender and size inclusive clothing, accessories, and witchy supplies. You can follow Witch Thrift on Instagram at Witch Thrift and shop their collection at witchbitchthrift.com. This episode is brought to you by Llewellyn. Discover the secrets to practicing magic on a budget with this empowering guide. Featuring more than 40 exercises, Thrifty Witchery shows that intuition, wisdom, and intention are more important to your magic than expensive trinkets. With these 3 skills, you can turn everything you touch into a magical tool. Plus, save 20% now on Thrifty Witchery at Llewellyn.com when you use the code THRIFT20. Coupon valid through May 31st, 23. Not valid in conjunction with other discounts or previously placed orders. That a little bit. I'm really glad that you guys booked your session for this particular week, because we just a few days ago talked to Yvonne Abaro for our episode on being a better inclusive witch. That is one of the focuses of Yvonne's work. And we got to get really deep into what inclusivity in witchy spaces looks like, what that means. And then, of course, we talked about actual action steps that people can take. Because I think one of the points that I made when we were chatting is that I think witches, perhaps, and maybe I'm giving us too much credit, but I do think that we, perhaps more than other groups of people, do care about inclusivity and are talking a lot more in our circles about this topic, and giving it thought as we are putting together maybe our covens or parties, events, etc., shops and spaces. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. But there's one thing to talk about it, and then there's one thing to actually, be about it. And you be about it. You guys are taking many of the steps that Yvonne and I talked about in our last episode. You guys are taking, and you're doing it through your shop and the way you approach things. So for folks who are not familiar with Witch Thrift, can you tell us a little bit just about the shop and your approach to your culture and what you're building over there?
Well, okay. So we are a thrift shop slash
witch
shop
slash
like small
art
business
collective, almost like it's been evolving.
I know the feeling.
experience.
Yeah.
Kind of so then you also get a little disclaimer. We're planning on opening a event room slash community space.
Yes, that's going to be part of
by
our
the end of February, or maybe in the March,
mid-March.
mid-March.
So we're like a community event space and a shop and a hangout space, basically.
A place where we want everybody to come and like feel like there's something for them there, like, or they can like feel themselves there, or like kind of explore, or like
just a very
if
welcoming.
you find interest, just like, yeah, sure, like explore. It's like a kind of like little fun, cool place. I don't know.
We make it very much like it's an experience in a way that like you come in here and there are like multiple different rooms, and each room is a whole different thing, and it's a whole different vibe, and it's a whole different like display of things. And like I think that people like to come here even to just hang out here, not necessarily even to shop. We don't care if you're here to shop or not. Like, we're excited when people are here just hanging out and finding a place that they feel good and safe and like welcome in. And I think what really like makes us different in that sense is that we really focus on like the inclusivity part and in all parts. So gender inclusivity, size inclusivity, like we've been kind of making a lot of noise on the internet about our like unorthodox sorting systems.
Yeah, I
But
wanted to talk about that because I was talking to the Coven a little bit before you guys joined us, because I think it's genius, honestly, the way that you guys order your store, and I'll let you break it down because you probably can describe it better than I can. But I just think it's genius and it just makes a lot of sense. I think even aside from like having the goal of inclusivity, just the reality of clothing.
yes,
And being like, every freaking brand has their own definition of what a small is, and
mhm.
like it's
There's
nonsense. It's all over the place. So like,
yeah,
why
So
do we have to
there's
bother? Like, why not just measure stuff? But yeah, why don't you describe your sorting system for your clothes?
well,
so we sort things. We just, and this is not a new thing. We have been doing this since we first had our space in Bridgeport. So it's just now it's starting to catch up, and people are like, "Wait, what are you doing?" But we have never had men's and women's sections. We've never broke it down like that. Um, and so that's the first thing. We don't separate it by gender, and we really think that people can wear whatever they want, and it's very limiting if you are gendering the clothes. There are sometimes people will argue with us on the internet and be like, well, but they're shaped different. Women are shaped different than men. But if you really think about it, even within, if you think of like women, but even among women, women are shaped differently.
Yeah.
It You can make clothes that are shaped for women. They will only be shaped for one type of woman,
Right.
and even within that, the limitations are already existent. So that already kind of makes it a moot point. So we sort everything based on their actual real measurements in front of us. And especially when we're dealing with things that have already been worn, they might not be the same size they were when you first got them new or when they came out of, factory. They might have been stretched out. Maybe someone took it in and it's not the right size anymore. Maybe someone altered it. Maybe it's vintage. Vintage sizing is even worse. It's
Right. I'm
completely
sure it's
bogus.
totally different.
It's totally different. And we have experienced that frustration like firsthand because even when we first started dealing with clothes, like trying to figure out what size things were was an absolute nightmare because everything is all over the place. It could be anything. It is, your best guess. And we didn't want our customers to feel that stress and to have that burden of thinking, is this actually my size? Will this actually fit me? Do I have, and like, it's just so much that comes with it. And it brings out anxieties. It can trigger people. It's just a bad, like, it's bad. So we decided to take the responsibility upon ourselves to be like, we will deal with this. You
yeah.
chill, you find the clothes, you chill and like do your shopping. We will figure it out for you beforehand. And we kind of just wanted to take that burden off the customer and into
Yeah.
ourselves because we can figure this out and we can sort it out and we
Yeah.
can measure it out.
Mhm.
And that's basically what we've been doing, and it's been working very, very well. People that like have consistently shopped with us, like it's very comforting for them to know that if they generally fit 2x in at Witch Bitch, they will consistently fit 2x at Witch Bitch. It doesn't matter when they come around what they're trying on, like.
What the
And
reason
sometimes it may
is.
be that like you fit 2x tops, but you fit 4x bottoms. You will know that. You will
Yeah.
know that breakdown and you will know where to go. Like we have customers now that like we're new in New Haven, so we're just developing regulars now, like which is really fun.
Which is
Like
so fun.
we're
It's
like
so
five
cool.
weeks in and we're like developing our new regulars, and like we have somebody that comes in like a few times a week because they work in the neighborhood, and they said the other day, and they were like, I never owned pants. I owned one pair of pants. But now that you guys are here, I figured out I'm a 0X in pants. I come here, I buy 0X pants. They always fit me. I never have to think about this. Like,
That's
and now I own
amazing.
like 4 or 5 pairs of pants because of you. Like, completely changed their like approach.
That's amazing. I love hearing you say that as a shop owner because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Alok Vaid Menon. They are an activist with many titles, but they're an activist that talks quite a bit about gender inclusivity, gender fluidity in fashion, how gendered fashion really doesn't make sense, advocating and encouraging fashion designers to stop gendering their clothing, etc. And one of the things that I have heard them mention that clothing stores will say, or that fashion designers, like designers of clothing, will say about clothing stores is, well, how will clothing stores lay out clothing for people if we don't gender them? Then it's just like, how will your customer know where to shop, where to get things, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very exciting for me to hear you as a shop owner say, actually, it's super easy. It really is not that much extra work. And it makes our customers feel so much better. It's so worth it to put in that extra effort of physically measuring the items, and just categorizing by that. So that's great to hear. Also, it means that, like, everybody else is BS, because obviously it can be done. Like, how hard is it? Put the 22-inch things by the 22-inch things. Like, and then if I'm 22 inches, I know where to go. Like, I'm a petite person, and so buying clothes. I'm a petite person who is also a Black woman. So I am petite by, like, height definitions and, like, certain lengths of things, like my arms. But everything else is on and popping. Okay? So they will not be contained by what the fashion industry would like to call a petite, but that's usually what I need in order for things to not be, like,
Yes.
40 inches too long.
Right.
And so if I could just say, like, hey, my inseam is 25 inches, then I could just, like, go on with my life and enjoy shopping. So I love that you guys do that, and not just that you do it, but that you have that message behind it, which is that, one, it's not that difficult, and two, it's super worth it because of what it does for your customers' experience.
Yeah, I think that people are very intimidated by things that are outside of what they're used to having.
For sure.
And we have been so used to men's and women's weird sizing. Like, we have been kind of conditioned to believe that that is just the way it is, and that's just something we have to accept. But we don't have to accept
Yes.
Right.
They certainly can feel that way. But I think we're kind of, like, showing people even before they come in, like, now that we're having this reach, like this is what it can be, and this is what it could be for other stores as well. And, like,
If they took the time to figure this out, like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be so complicated. It's not that complicated. When people are like, "Oh, but you have to
it's
go,"
not.
there's so much. It's not that much extra work. Like, we literally have, like, our basically everyone's desk at this point has, like, a measuring tape, like, taped along their desk. You just hold things against your desk, and you're like, okay, this is 50 inches on the bust, so it's going to be like a 2x top. Okay, like, it's just a matter of, like, are you willing to do that work? Are you willing? And you know, it's just, like, different. It's just different, and it's not something people are used to encountering. But we really can see a future where this can be a little bit more widespread. Would love to see other shops adopting something like this, or even like if we could come up with some sort of, like, universal size chart that everybody could, like, participate in.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the day when, like, just all fashion is just non-gendered. Or just, these are pants, these are skirts, these are dresses. Like, I feel like that day is on the horizon, and I know that there are designers out there who are already doing that. And I just look forward to it, like, just always. What a magical place it'll be to be like, I need pants. It doesn't matter what's going in them. I just need pants. Can you help me? So yeah, I love that so much. And I feel like also thrift stores are a great place to kind of champion that type of inclusivity, because you're getting pieces that really are coming from all walks of life. And you know, you don't necessarily have an aesthetic or something that you're trying to accomplish with the clothing. It's just like, this is what we have. And I think that alone is already really welcoming, but then to take the extra step of how you lay out that clothing, to be open, is just like an extra layer that I think is really great. And I think it's great because obviously our community that's listening to us right now are witches or folks that are interested in witchcraft. And I feel like thrift stores are the best place to get your ritual clothing.
Yes, I agree.
Do you feel that? Do you get a lot of
Yes.
pieces that, like, because I feel like with very little work, it may not even come in as a quote unquote ritual item, but I feel like it's so much easier to take a thrifted piece and turn it into a robe, a skirt, you know, like whatever you might need for ritual gear.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
do you guys feel like you have a lot of pieces like that, or do people like use your clothes that way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, considering the fact that I feel like so many people that come to our shop are within the realm of witchcraft. Not everybody, but a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And also, it takes a little bit of creativity, like
Hmm.
just thing. But yes, like I think the variety of like things that come in
Yes.
is like pretty incredible. And I
We we have such unique pieces that come in sometimes that people see and they're like, I they even take inspiration from the piece. Like they see themselves like going into this piece and what they would do with it, and they like feel connected to it that way. And like sometimes people will see something in the store and they'll like think about it and then they'll decide, no, maybe I won't get it. And then they'll like come back,
Yeah.
whether it's like 30 minutes later or like weeks and weeks later, and it's still there and it's like waiting for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or
that
we'll have a
happens a
really
lot.
unique piece that nobody gets. It's like, why is this staying here? And then all of a sudden one day somebody comes in and like,
I was
this is
looking for
this
this.
Yeah.
we've been searching for
I
this.
get that a lot with our used books and decks. You know,
Uh-huh.
there'll be like a used deck that's just sitting there for like the longest time, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and it's like, ah, it was for you. I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear people's like inspiration on that. Like, and when it comes to like ritual clothing and all of that, like, we'll hear a lot of like, oh, you know what, this dress, I'm going to wear it in the woods for a thing. Like, this is like what I'm going to like run around in the woods for like my full moon thing, and
Hmm.
like that kind of. And I love when people share those things with us, and like I was like, oh my god, yes, that's
Yeah,
perfect. That's absolutely
exactly.
perfect.
Yeah, because it's like you're not gonna. It's not the same to like get like an H&M T-shirt and be like, this is gonna be like my ritual dress. Like it doesn't feel as special as like this one piece that you found at a store that has history, that someone has loved enough to give. Like they loved it enough that they didn't want to just throw it away. So that like
Mhm.
that already tells you something, and kind
Yes.
of makes it like extra special. Do you feel like thrift stores are good places for people to find actual ritual gear though? Because I think you guys have like accessories and like altar tools and stuff like that. So does
Mhm.
that type of stuff come through? And do you
Oh
feel
yeah.
like thrifting is a good way to get, you know, like your altar set up if you're a
Oh,
new witch?
100%.
Yeah.
We get a lot of that because a lot of people, I feel like, come in and they're like, "Can I bring you witchy shit?" I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm cursing. Can I
No,
bring
it's
you
fine.
witchy things?
I see your coffee mug. I enjoy it.
Oh.
Mm. This is sticker merch from Mudwater. Have you guys heard of
Oh.
them?
I
Yeah, yeah.
have. I've been wanting to try that
Really
for
good.
new things.
Yeah,
I love.
I like it. I can't, you know, I haven't tried like many other coffee alternatives, so I'm biased. This is the only one I've tried. But I really love chai and I love hot chocolate, and it basically tastes like those two things mixed together.
So it's basically like a cinnamon hot chocolate kind of
Mm-hmm.
feel.
Yep, it's like four different adaptogenic mushrooms, and then a chai blend, and then cocoa powder. So.
But to answer your question, for sure, we always have like a lot of little cool like knickknacks, like, especially for like altar
Mm.
decor and things, and
Yeah.
like
So many
altar
unique pieces, like
cloths,
little cute boxes or
candle
like cute
holders.
little like
Yes.
scarves that could also be like bandanas or like altar cloths or lace or anything like that.
Like,
And small little trinkets for like fae offerings and stuff like that. Like,
and I feel like people always find the like right things.
Yeah.
Like they're like, this is the thing that I needed for my altar, and
and we have our shop altar on display as well, and I think that
We
helps
do.
people kind of like, oh, like this is cool.
Get
Like,
some
this is a cool
inspo.
little piece. Yeah.
And people are very respectful of our altar. Our altar is literally like open to the public. There's
like
only a little sign
Yeah,
like
this is not for
altar,
sale,
not for
because
sale.
people always want to buy the things. We're like, no, I'm sorry, that's our
No, same. We have a community altar. It has a little sign, and like you can leave offerings. You know, you can do that, and it surprises me how much people do that. You know, because like you can do it, but it's not like we advertise like come and you know, but people just naturally are just like I want to pay respects.
Nice.
At this altar. So I like that you guys do that too, because I think it adds a totally different vibe to the shop. It tells people that like, you know, real people live here, and like this is a place where like the energy here matters. And I think that's important when buying tools, because we talk a lot in the witchy community about cleansing your spiritual tools and how important it is to cleanse your candles, cleanse your items before you start working with them for a spiritual purpose. And so buying your stuff from a place that you feel like you can trust, I imagine you guys are cleansing the space in addition to cleaning, you know, that you're regularly cleansing the space. So buying your products from a place that is cleansed, like we cleanse our candles and our crystals before we put them out. Like just in case people are not doing that for themselves. So knowing that I'm buying my like altar item or decor from a place that does stuff like that, it's like that extra level of like good vibrations.
We always, people walk in and like the first thing they say is, oh, this smells so good in here. We just always have like incense or a candle, and we like sell it. So it's like there's one room that's just like the best, like all full of like incense and good candles and stuff.
And we have someone in our community that makes us like mugwort bundles. So we have always like mugwort bundles here. We use them here. We sell them here. Like, and they're like locally like harvested and made by like someone that is part of our community. So it's really nice. Like we like keeping things like within the community a lot. It just, and then we get to like also share the story when people are like taking these things home and we're like, oh, just so you know, like this was like made right here in New Haven, or like this was made by like another you know, women-owned company. This is like another LGBT company that made this candle. Like we can share these stories and like pass their message forward.
We've always, like, even in our first like small location, like when we were like 4 months old, we wanted to showcase other small businesses within our business as well.
Yeah, we started cooperating with people like maybe 2 months into business, because we started like doing things with other businesses. Like, all right,
our first pop-up was at somebody else's business. It was at a Highest Bird in
Bridgeport.
It's in Bridgeport. I was going to say Fairfield. It's on Fairfield Ave in Bridgeport. We went there on Halloween day of 2020, and we had a huge, we took up like the whole sidewalk, and we started out in somebody else's business, so we know how important it can be to start out somewhere.
Yeah, I like to use the hashtag witches helping witches. And that's something that we focus on here too, because when we have like we'll have like in-shop events. We do like something we call tea and tarot every solstice and equinox. We basically do like donation-based readings and complimentary like tea and stuff when you come into the shop. And I like to have vendors, like local practitioners who make their own oils or Florida waters or what have you. And there's like no vendors fee or anything like that. We're just like, here's a table, come on in. And the idea is to eventually have like a whole section of the store that just features like local witches products and what they make that, you know, that we've bought from them. So I feel you on that. I think that more stores, like thrift shops are a benefit to witches, kind of no matter what your budget is, because not only can you get things at a good price, but you can get things that are spiritually or energetically cleansed or made by other practitioners that you can really like vouch for, which I think is a huge benefit to shopping maybe online or like at a big box store or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we really want to bring that experience to our online shops. Like, we're relaunching our online shop next month. This is like a big project we've been working on behind the scenes, and um, that
Because
that's like
our online store didn't really like stop. We just like had to stop updating it because we were focusing on opening our storefront, and we kind of haven't updated it since September of last year.
yeah.
And it was before that we were fully online because we had closed down our old storefront in Bridgeport. So we were just like Virginia and I in our living room, like pumping out stuff. Like,
Yeah, because I was gonna say, didn't you started online,
Mhm.
just like in your house, right? And
Yeah.
and the focus there was like just on like the thrifting clothing for the most
Just the
part.
clothing. Yeah, we
yeah.
started with just clothing.
And then we slowly started incorporating like household items and like little witchy things. And then we started like getting like decks and stuff.
Nice.
We started like
It's been
selling it.
slowly like
Yeah,
snowballing
evolving.
into like a
We ended,
different animal.
then we ended up having to like get an office space to run our online store from. And then once people heard we had a space, they wondered if they could come in for an appointment. And then naturally, we just became an open storefront, but we were within an office space that was.
Yeah, that's where we are. So I feel you there. We don't have a traditional storefront. We're in an office on like
Yeah.
a residential slash commercial building. So it's an interesting experience. And I actually wanted to ask you guys, because I know that you recently moved, and you have to get like permission and stuff like that to have an outdoor sign,
Mhm.
on the storefront and things like that. And what was it like? Going through the process of having outdoor signage for a store that has a name like yours, because our store name has witch in the title too, and
Yeah.
it is like, if you could be a little fly on the wall watching people walk by and the different reactions they have to our store name, it's like, ooh, child, like I know my ancestors are strong with me to have chosen me to be the one to have a freaking shop in the middle of the South Bronx that says witch on it. Like, yo, you gotta be strong.
So you can imagine like what kind of things we have like experience
Because you
having
guys have the double whammy
not
of
only
witch,
with but
bitch, like,
Yes. Yes. And
there's never
the,
not a reaction.
I
like
have
were there torches involved? Were there
no,
riots? Like, no,
no, literally
oh,
nothing. They
yes.
just accepted us right off the bat. Like we had one hiccup, and that was only that we made our sign format too big.
It was only
They
a
were just like, just make
size
it smaller,
adjustment.
and
You
we
guys
gave
were like, witch bitch is here.
we
They
gave
were
them
like,
like
tone it down.
we gave them
Um,
edited versions that we like do one that we have the I and bitch inverted, so it's like an exclamation point.
we had one that was just like which be thrift, but they
Like,
were like,
no,
no,
just make it smaller. That's fine.
just like here, just make it smaller. We send the smaller one like with the full logo, and they're like, looks good, approved. And we were just like, okay. And it's been like really nice how I don't know like if it's I don't even know. Like the whole name came out of nowhere. Like someone asked us, we were doing a thing and we had to like talk about the business and yesterday and the guy was like, "Do you mind if I ask you why your business is called Witch Bitch Thrift?" And I was like, it came to me at 7:30 in the morning on a random August day. Like I don't know. It just
I
came to
don't know.
I was like it just came and I just knew I had to do it and I like that was it. Like there was like no turning back in like that one moment and like but it's literally one of my favorite things about the business is the name because it's an instant icebreaker.
Yeah.
There is no like nobody lacks reaction to it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's normally like if it's a bad reaction, nobody says it. Nobody has ever come to us and be like that name is offensive or that name is like you have a bad name in your name. Like even the people like we have somebody that works here, his dad doesn't swear at all. So he just calls us witch thrift. He came
Oh,
up with his
nice.
own way of saying it.
Right.
That's great.
And
Like,
we when we made our merge, we ran into the problem that we had teachers come to us and say that they wanted merge from us, but they couldn't have either of the words. So we made merch that is just our logo without the like
without the
title
wording.
around it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people started like we have like
the safe for work version, like
Yeah.
for people like teachers and stuff. But that was like just for the merch line, and
Yeah.
that was a while back. But
Yeah.
we have been very blessed by like how accepting like everybody has been towards like what we're doing with our
I
name,
feel like our
with
personal
everything.
like local community, like New Haven especially, like Bridgeport is also very accepting, but like New Haven has just been beyond our expectations of like completely accepting of small businesses. Like they work to like promote that, and just like hugely accepting.
And even
Are
people
there other witchy shops in New Haven that you know?
know.
Not
Oh, you guys are holding
really.
it down. Yes.
No, there's not like there are other thrifts or like vintage shops,
Yeah.
but not like a witchy shop, like not within
I-
the city.
I think I might have seen. I I had to go to. I was going down the I-95 today because I had to go to Fairfield, and I saw like on my like GPS that there was a store that popped up that I didn't really see anything, but it might be opening some kind of witchy supply store.
Okay.
But I'm not too sure, and I would have to research more. It was just something I happened to see like just this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
since
people
you guys are like one of the only witchy shops, have you seen a shift in an increase in desire for those items, like people coming in just for witchy stuff and not
Oh
yes,
God, yes.
we have been
Oh,
consistently
absolutely.
selling out of our witchy things.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Like we keep restocking
Constantly
things. Like
reordering.
I'm
yes.
actually like literally today on
Need
my
to make
list
one,
is to
yes.
make like one big reorder for
Yeah.
like and order a bunch of new things too, because like our decks, like candles, incense, everything is just like flying off the shelves, and people are like, we want more variety, we want more things, and we're like, yes, because they're literally hungry for that. And I think that also because we have been very careful about like we curate the witchy supplies like very well. Like we put a lot of thought into the things we bring in. We like try to do a variety of things. We make sure that like nothing that we're bringing in could be like cultural appropriation or like just like not appropriate in any way, or we just try to really look through it and kind of filter out. We don't want to have a bunch of like random like knickknacks that maybe like are just like more like souvenir-y. Like we
Yeah.
try to be very like the essentials, the things
Yeah.
that people would really want, like, oh, here are notebooks and things, and like, but it has been people, and the
And
word is like spreading, I feel like. So people are like, oh, we can go there for our supplies.
and I feel like the nature of our store, like not just being a witchy shop, but also being like a thrift store and like having small household items, like we're always very like I feel like our true like genuine nature is to be inviting, to like be creative, like think how you maybe you're gonna find something that you don't think you would usually like, but you're like, wait a minute, this is like really cool and I really like this. And like finding ways to use different items or different pieces of clothing, and like using these like essentials and stuff.
And you can pair things with
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
let's say you can like get these candles, but then you can also get this like really cool candle, like secondhand like candle holder to go with your brand new candles. Like
Yeah.
it kind of it makes it fun because you can kind of like go around and like find things to go together.
And I
But
feel like we
definitely,
look for stuff like that. Like I feel
yeah,
like witchy people, we shop more that way. And
yeah,
I think what's different about maybe our community versus others is that like, you know, in my Muggle life, like, and we're gonna talk about Harry Potter in a second. In my Muggle life, you know, the advent of Amazon and things like that have just like transformed my life. They've made it so much more convenient. They've made it more affordable because obviously, you know, you can get Amazon stuff so much cheaper and stuff like that. But when it comes to my spiritual supplies, that has not been the case. Like I have not Amazonized my spiritual supplies. And in fact, it's gone even more in the opposite direction, where I put more time and energy into finding suppliers that I care about or that have similar values, or buying from other witches, or buying from shops that I respect and things like that, especially when it comes to like my spiritual stuff. So I feel like whereas in other parts of the world, opening physical stores maybe doesn't make a lot of sense because people are moving away from that. I feel like in our community, it's the opposite. Physical stores are a good idea for us to have, because then people can have that type of like, yes, I know exactly where this cauldron came from, or like I had a conversation with the store owner about how she found it, or where it comes from, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's something that is very special about like witchy stores in general, but maybe in particular, yours and other shops like yours, where like, real thought is given to
Yeah.
making sure that the items there are useful, for actual witches, and are not just, off the assembly line necessarily, like pumped
Yeah.
out, types of things. I will say though, as a heads up or a word to the wise to folks who are doing shopping at thrift stores for their magical products, is just maybe, ask questions about what is fire safe. Because
Yes.
I have definitely bought something at a thrift store and I'm like, this thing is only $5. That's amazing. And then I get home and I'm like, oh, it's $5 because it's plastic and it melted.
Yeah.
So
We had the same thing happen. So we are aware. It was like a wall, like candles cons, and it was plastic, and it was awful.
yeah.
We burned the candles in it, not thinking of it, and all of a sudden I'm like, I have my back to it. I see like black specks falling down throughout the store,
That's
and
always the telltale sign, right? Isn't that the worst, when you're standing somewhere and all of a sudden that like black ash starts to rain down
Yeah.
and you're like, oh no. 'Cause
and
Yeah.
you like turn around and there's like a fire raging behind you. So I quickly put it out, and we spent like hours cleaning the black stuff off of everything around that fell on it. It was like,
Yeah. That was a while back. It was in our old space,
yeah,
but we never forget.
no, never again.
Yeah, never forget, exactly.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
Oh, Eva, you know what I think it's time for?
What?
A break.
Oh,
I think it's time
a
for a
good
break.
time for a break.
It's a great time
really
for a
good time
break.
for a break.
Yeah, let's go.
This show is part of the Modern Witch Podcast Network. For more shows like it, visit www.modernwitch.com.
Keep that in mind. I wanted to ask you guys about your practice, because your witchy items, obviously you source them from other practitioners or places that you know, but do you make some of them yourselves? Is your practice in any way like folded into the shop?
We used to. We have not recently because we just don't have the like bandwidth to do that anymore. We used to make our own like spell kits. We used to make our own like zodiac kits with like herbs and crystals and things like that. But we have started to outsource that from other practitioners because we just don't have the time to do them anymore ourselves.
Yeah.
It would be awesome to start making them in-house again, like once we have more staff and once we have like more people. We've been like slow, I was gonna say slowly, but pretty quickly growing our team. So it's I can definitely see that happening, but it's like something that we used to do, but we just didn't have that time anymore. But I think that I would love to like be able to do that. We do like online, we sell different like herb kits and stuff like that. We don't sell them in store yet.
Yeah.
So for those, we personally, usually Eva will do like the actual like curation of the herbs, because a lot of those are like intuitive like herb packs depending on intention. It's like intention based like herb packets. So then like those we still do, and we will still like personally go and kind of like feel it out, think, read their thing, and like see what they need, and
Yeah.
but not as much like products that we put on the floor.
Yeah, I feel you on that, because we make like our stories are very similar, and my business kind of grew in the same way. It started in my living room with me making magical and medicinal teas and like incense blends and oils, and it grew into this physical space that is an office that's become like a community space, and it's transitioned from being like a work share office to a retail shop to now both of those things. And I still make all of the products that we offer in house, like our incense and our teas and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's difficult because it's like it's a one witch show for the most part. But I have other witches that are coming on board, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because now I can foresee
Doesn't
a
it feel
future.
so good?
It feels great. First of all, I definitely want to carry other witches products anyway, so I don't want us to be making everything anywho, because that doesn't like promote the local witches that are also making stuff. Like
Right.
I want them to make things, so that takes a lot off of us. But I would like to, like you said, also have things that the shop offers. But having help, having an extra set of hands to help with that, it's like you need. I'm learning with having a shop that, especially if you're going to make your own things, it's almost like you need a person to be making and then a person to be promoting. Because to
Yes.
be making and also promoting is very difficult, time consuming wise, like time wise, but also energetically. Like I feel like
Yes.
once you've made something, especially when it's magical and you've put so much like love and energy and spirit into it, to then be the person who has to be like, come and get my tea for $4.99. It's like a little bit draining. So
Yeah.
like you need to have another set of hands who can then go and be like the salesperson, so that you can like protect your energy around it and like not be sad if like no one buys it or
Exactly. And we have like a couple of our staff members are also makers and artists themselves, and we carried. So one of them, they make like not candles, like soaps and like different kinds of soaps and like body things. So like those we carry here, and like they're the ones who make that. And we have another person that works here that they have like artwork and like things like that they do. So we kind of just like we will support them and like carry their products here and make sure that their creations and their practice is like
yeah.
being like passed on. So
I love doing that. I'm like, everybody, come sell your wares here. We'll promote you. We have a little box at the front door that's like a community card box for like business cards from other businesses.
We have a
It's
community
the same
board.
thing.
like
Yeah,
a
we have a
little
community
board.
board. You can like put your things up. Like, that's the idea. That's the whole vibe. I have a question that is totally selfish for me. So I don't know if anyone
go
can
for it.
benefit for this. But just as a shop owner, especially because you guys thrift, like, do you guys do consignment? And do you find it to be an administrative nightmare as much as I do? Because, like, I know that it would make it maybe easier to get products from smaller suppliers who maybe can't do wholesale or what have you. But, like, it just seems. Is there like a platform out there that will keep your consignment straight or something? Because, oh my gosh, I can't.
not the, I don't know if there's a platform.
For
Someone needs to create
consignment,
it.
like there's like different wholesale sites and stuff like that.
Yeah, but for consignment itself, like tracking, there are I know there are systems out there.
Yeah.
But I've never looked into them.
We faced the conflict of whether or not to do things like on consignment or wholesaling or like buying outright. And we ended up like most of our like clothing and household items and like thrifted items come from our consumers, come from our customers.
Yeah.
We have a buy sell program that we offer cash or store credit as a payout.
That's a buy
And, like,
trade.
it's a buy trade like
Yeah.
kind of scenario.
So it's kind of like a barter, but also could be cash situation. And
we
don't have to keep track of that.
We tell people like people often come up to us and ask like, do you do consignment? And we no,
So not for
we
those.
just like buy outright. But
we just take the like kind of risk ourselves, and we just pay them out like upfront for everything that they bring in that we want to take in, and then we take the risk of whether or not it sells because it's easier to not keep track of that.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the products like from other makers, then we do consignment, and that's like
or wholesale.
Yeah.
Whatever we always ask like what they're more comfortable with, but if it's a small business that we're like a local small business and stuff like that.
We've kind of moved a lot into like we do wholesale for certain things like books and like the more like basic like supplies, but when it comes to like the more like novelty supplies or like different like local makers and like artwork and all of that, we have just started a program, like a vendor program, where people go through like a vendor application process and we review them, and kind of this is an ongoing project where we'll have like a rotating display of different makers, and those we've been operating on a consignment basis because that's kind of like, at least for now, what makes sense for us. And it's a little bit easier to keep track because we'll just like have their inventory like when they come in. We both us and the artist will like sign off an inventory sheet of what they brought in, and then we enter that into like our point of sale, and then we keep track of the inventory, and like everything is really laid out on our contract of like who's responsible for what, whose responsibility is what, and like that has been a little bit better to like keep track of because those are very specific things. But if we were to keep track of the clothing and all of that, that would have been an administrative nightmare for sure. So, but you know, a lot of spreadsheets.
Okay.
A lot of spreadsheets are involved.
A lot of time like spent making sure everything's organized. Like we have a system, we have forms, like everything.
And we have a person that is like managing this whole part.
And we have like vendor applications for people that want to start, and like kind of like tell us about yourself and like what you would kind of be expecting, stuff like that, if you want to, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing something similar, having just like a standard form for folks that want to sell their products here, and you know, so we can work that out and all of that good stuff. And but it does sound like when I'm putting that together, I want to keep in mind that maybe having a dedicated person for that is good, because I just feel like, you know, if I enter into a consignment agreement with somebody and like I sell one of their candles today and then like not another one for like 3 months, like I'm not going to remember that I owe you $3 for this candle. Like, whose job is it to keep track of this? Me? No, this can't be. So
you can also just use it by counting things. Like if you know they gave you 10 candles and 3 months later you have 9, you will know. Like if you kept track of just that initial inventory, you can kind of count it out.
Right.
You're like, oh well, I have 9 left, so that means I owe you $3. Like, and
so
do
what
that.
you're saying is consignment's not that difficult, and I need to get my shit together and just be a little more
organized.
No,
it is difficult. I'm saying that for us to get to where we are now, it took a lot of mistakes. A lot of things going wrong and losing track of things and trying to figure things out.
This is just what's been really working for us.
Yes, this is just the end product of where we are now. But no, it's not easy, and it's just a matter of like tinkering with it, and like it definitely is helpful to have somebody to be in charge of that part. And that like vendor communications and all of that, but also just have like systems that are universal for every vendor. So like we have dedicated, like this is the day that you get your report for the last month and the things that we've sold. This is the time frame of when you get paid for the previous month. Like just having those like uniform systems between vendors is helpful because everyone expects the same thing and you have to do the same things for everybody. And it's not like every time they show up you pay them and then it's like there's like systems in place.
Oh, that's good. Okay, good. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks. So I was just like, this consignment thing seems really crazy, but I also like the monthly reporting. That's also a great way to just like keep track of everything and have it not be super overwhelming, or
and have a time limit too. Like you can put a time limit, being like, we'll keep your products here for 30 days. We can choose to extend. We can choose to not extend. And
give
then,
yourself admin.
Yeah, so you don't just have it forever and like, that's a good,
if it doesn't sell, like then they'll take it back. You know, you'll just return the items to them. So yes, something like that.
If you're starting to get help from other witches, like try to give yourself time away. Like give yourself admin time. Yes. That's my biggest advice to any business owner. Like if you can have somebody else hold down whatever, if you have a storefront, like if you can like have a time to yourself, that's the best way.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely learning that, and I think we're increasing that, so that's going to help a lot.
Yeah.
Consignment, here we come.
I'm very excited for you.
Moving forward.
Thank
Well, got up the line.
you. Well, I want to see if there are any questions for you guys. There is a comment from Linda who wants you to know that trouble is adorable. So that's important.
Oh, we were looking at our private chat.
I didn't
instead of the
even see
comment.
Yeah, we've got chats coming in from folks. So I am going to remind the Coven folks who are tuning in right now that they have an opportunity to ask Eva and Virginia any questions that they might have about inclusivity, about thrifting as a witch, or anything else that is buzzing inside of you that you just need to get out. You can drop your questions in the chat box. You can also drop your questions in the Q&A box, which is at the top of the chat. Yeah, so while folks are getting their questions into the question box and stuff, maybe you can tell guys where, because I know you guys moved recently and all that stuff, so I want to make sure people know the new location. So where can we find Witch Bitch Thrift in real life and online?
Real life, you can find us in New Haven, Connecticut. We're located at 105 Whitney Ave. It's very easy to find, very easy to park. There's
We're
a lot
like-
of metered parking around and metered
We're like
parking lots.
2 blocks off of the off ramp of 95 and 91,
Yeah,
which connects to 95, and like it's very easy.
very
and
accessible.
There's like a bus stop. There's a bunch of parking, like metered parking on the street. There's a metered lot close by.
If you take the train into New Haven, like the main New Haven station, there is a bus that leaves from the train station and stops in front of our shop, which is very convenient.
Yeah.
For everybody. And we are open Tuesdays through Sunday. We're open 11 to 6 every day, and then 11 to 7 on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
We're open later on the weekend.
The only day we're not open is Monday because we're Sacred Mondays. But
Yeah.
we may further open.
That
if
might
we have,
change
like,
soon.
more people. No.
And online, our website is just witchbitchthrift.com. And as I mentioned before, we're relaunching our online store next month. So that's going to be, we're going to basically come back with a bang.
Yeah.
We used to have like very modest collections with having just the two of us working on it. So we're really taking it up a step. We're very excited to share the things we've been working on. We're going to be posting more announcements in the coming week or two. And definitely follow us on social. We are Witch Bitch Thrift on Instagram and Witch Bitch Thrift Talk on TikTok. We post a lot of content too on those. We have a very nice social presence. We like to, we like to joke that like the cute things that we sell are like
Trouble's here, like jumping at
the cherry on top. But I think that we like to use our platform to like educate people and to spread awareness for things that we care about, or just to encourage our customers and our followers to like embrace themselves, embrace their bodies, their practices, and kind of just like accept that we're all different and we're all wonderful for being different. Like,
Yeah.
so we're very proud of like the work that we put out into like we put a lot of meaning into what we put on the internet. It's never just about products. Like, we like to show off products every once in a while, but very likely we're doing other stuff on socials, not just showing off like things you can buy. Like it takes kind of a back like seat almost.
Yeah, well, speaking of your content and like educating people and things like that, I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because something that you guys had to recently talk about on your social media platforms was your decision to not carry Harry Potter merchandise. And I thought that was really brave and really important, and a really useful use of your platform, both the physical store but also your social media, to then go and tell people people exactly why you were making that choice, and maybe share that with folks a little bit. What was it like deciding, to express your personal values through that particular line of clothing and decide not to carry them anymore? And what's the feedback been like from people?
Ooh, that's been
Well,
good.
we, as we previously said, we're life partners. So we obviously are a part of the LGBTQIA community, and we hugely support and foster a safe community for queer folk, anybody who wants to come in. And the like as like I think it is confirmed that there's a lot of turmoil of the writer of Harry Potter and their specific opinions about people within the LGBTQIA community, specifically trans folk.
Yeah,
And
we've learned that. Like, I think we started taking action as soon as
as
we
soon as
learned.
we figured it, heard from people that if they see Harry Potter merch at their stores or at specific places, sometimes certain people just instantly feel unsafe, depending on what areas they are in, or how what the vibe is like. But there's some it just doesn't it's instantly oh, okay. And we absolutely do not want that to happen at our store. Our whole mission as a business is to have a welcoming, inviting space that you don't feel any shame, or we try to make it not confusing or easy as possible.
Yeah.
We don't want people to feel that way.
And I think that also it has to do with the same thing where we talk about doing the extra work with the sizing. When we first brought it up to the community, and this is something that's been a common practice for us in general, anytime we come across big questions in our business on directions to take with things, we take it to the people, because our community is the most important thing. They are the ones who are supporting us, who are here to feel the way they feel, and we have no problem letting them speak up and let us know what feels right or wrong for them, because it's about them more than it's about us in that sense. We're here to direct things, and we're here to create this space, but we have to listen to the people first. So first of all, it was a no-brainer talking to people, even if it was a hard conversation to have. It was absolutely necessary because we needed to know how they felt.
Yeah,
that was off the bat. And I think the same approach that we take with the sizing of putting the burden on us and taking the burden off the customer is kind of what this ended up being, because some people were well, I know that J.K. Rowling is not going to get the money from it. You're going to be the ones making the money from it, so you should do it. But then you should put a sign explaining that you're selling this, but she's not getting the money. But then maybe you're going to donate it to trans rights groups, and maybe you put a sign explaining that you don't share the views. And I'm that is way too many steps for somebody to have to take to figure out that they're safe here.
Yeah.
Not worth any of the money that could come from this. We don't need that.
Right.
And as soon as those comments came in, we were immediately nope, screw that. We don't need to do this. I personally don't like Harry Potter. I've never been a fan of Harry Potter to begin with.
I used to be, and then I heard the news about her view.
I get this all the time. People are
and then I found that out, and then I stopped. I kind of broke the magical barrier of loving it for me. And then I was oh, I'm not really comfortable. And then since then it's kind of gotten better, but I still understand that some people do not accept that they don't feel comfortable, they don't feel safe. And there's plenty of places to go.
Yeah,
we'll have it for people that really do want to get it and still truly love it, and the people that are part of the community that's kind of claiming it as their own and giving their own feeling of love to it. There's plenty of places where they can go to do that, and this just won't be one.
Doesn't have to be here.
It doesn't have to.
You can get your Harry Potter t-shirts somewhere else. It doesn't have to be here.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about white sage.
Yeah,
We've had a few,
Exactly.
yeah, we've had a few like cleansing kits and things like that have included it, that we've gotten like from other practitioners or that we've put together and stuff like that, for different reasons. But generally speaking, you're really not going to see it in the shop. And I had a similar kind of back and forth with myself about like, do I sell it and put up a sign? Do I, sell it and make sure that I maybe get it from an indigenous group or farm, or like, how do I go about this? And I just said, you know what? I don't know if any of that is really worth the discomfort that some people feel when they see white sage being sold, especially by a non-native person. So I was just like, you know
Yeah,
what?
absolutely.
We're just gonna not offer it. And we've got 3 or 4 different strains of sage that you can get in different ways, whether they're bundles or loose in the shop and stuff like that. And so like, if you want to sage it up, I can help you like sage the heck out of whatever you're trying to do,
Yeah.
but it won't be white sage. And like,
There are so many alternatives that are not closed practice.
Like,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can
And people
use
ask
something
for it all the
else.
time, and I'm like,
we love
I know I may be losing a sale, but I'd rather, I'd rather that than offend anyone or make the place uncomfortable to people. So
Yeah, that's like I think
Yeah.
we mentioned before, like we sells us mugwort bundles to sell within our store. We love using stuff like that, and like juniper and like cedarwood.
rosemary,
Cedar's
We
everything.
love
amazing,
using
yeah.
cedarwood. Like we don't use Palo Santo either. We use like
Yeah.
cedarwood or like
And we're
different
very
kinds.
strict about that kind of thing. Like, we, even if people are trying to sell it, like within things here, we'll pull off and
We-
like not have it on the floor if something has it. And I'm like, no, we're not. This is not our place to do this. Like, this isn't our. We don't have the rights to do this.
We
Like,
support you to go and buy from indigenous artists and local artists and native artists that like with these within these closed practices can like
yeah,
open up and share if they decide to, or if it is their right. I don't know.
it's not worth making a buck and like infringing that
Yeah,
spiritually. Like,
exactly.
no.
Yeah, for sure. But I thought your post was really cool. I thought it was very like, it was transparent and very, not necessarily easy as a business owner ever to say like, we're not going to sell this. We know that there may be a sliver of the community of people who really want to see Harry Potter things here and maybe really like that type of stuff. And like, we understand that we may no longer be the store for you, but this our bigger mission is more important than this individual sale, and so we have to say we have to say goodbye to this type of merchandise. So I thought that was really cool, and something for folks who are getting to know you guys, maybe coming to shop at you guys, like you're not going to see those types of materials there, and there's a reason for that. So if shopping at a place that really stands behind what it says its values are is important to you, then go check out Witch Thrift, you guys. Okay, that's the place to be.
And I've loved hearing about your store through.
Yes. Do you guys ever come to New York? Are you ever like down here? You should come.
Not
often. Every once in a while, we feel like the last time we went, we were picking up furniture. We like thrifted all of our furniture and fixtures within the store. So I think we went to like Yonkers. Like maybe about a year
Our
ago.
mannequins were both from New York.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't done it a lot, but I don't know. I've been having the feeling like we're going to be going more into the city recently. Like things are been like moving in different directions.
We do have like an appointment coming up within the city, so maybe we'll come by.
Please do. We're open till 7 Wednesday through Saturday. Come see us. It would be really, really great. See our little spot here. I think it was like I said at the top, it was exciting to learn about you guys because I feel like we have a very similar mission, a very similar idea in terms of the types of space that we're trying to create and that we would like to see for people who are whether they be in the witchy community, spiritual community, or just looking for alternatives to what we typically see out of retail spaces. I think both of our shops are spaces like that. So I was really excited to share you guys with the world. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about the Harry Potter thing. That was like I almost forgot about that one, but I was like, oh no, yeah, I definitely want to talk about it because that's important. So I want to thank you guys both for being here, for sharing your personal experience as witches, as witchy shop owners, and inclusive witches, because that's really important and beautiful to see. Because when we know better, we witch better. So thanks
Yes.
for being here.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for having us.
Thank you, witches, for tuning in to another episode of the Better Witch podcast. New episodes air on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bronx Witch Coven YouTube channel and your favorite podcast platforms. No matter where you're tuning in from, we want to know what you think about today's episode. So make sure to leave us a review wherever you are. A special thank you to Bronx Witch Coven members whose membership makes this episode possible. If you'd like to tune in to the live recording sessions, watch the behind-the-scenes footage, and participate in the Q&A for future episodes, consider joining the Bronx Witch Coven. You can support this podcast by grabbing some sweet merch over in the Bronx Witch merch shop, sponsoring an episode with an ad spot, or following us on Instagram at BetterWitch Podcast. Remember, witches, when we know better, we witch better. See you in the next episode, and blessed be.